telling them they can't have an autograph of Lee McQueen. It's really, we're actually live at the moment. It's just not on, and no hair and makeup isn't available either.
Is it not?
No, it's
That's
really
rude.
not. I know it's I don't, well, yes, hello and welcome back to the Plymouth Life Centre for another In Conversation with Live from the Devon Business Show 2025. My name's Paul Philpott, but you already know that because there may well be a bit of, writing on the screen or something saying that. If not, we'll put it on later. And we're going to talk about skills here as this topic for this particular live stream. Now, skills is something that we talk about every year because it's a constant conversation. And the needs and requirements of, in particular, the city of Plymouth, they've changed a lot lately, and it's going to get even more demanding with regards to the kind of skills we need in order to make sure that the opportunities in the city grow. So let's talk about that, but also apply the concept of skills to businesses and running a business and reaching out for new talent. We have three excellent experts on the topic of skills and applying skills and talent acquisition within your business. And I'm going to ask them all to introduce themselves because some of them have got very long titles. First of all, Lee McQueen.
Lee McQueen with the longest title, which we love in education.
It's not a competition.
I'm the Director of Growth, Apprenticeships and Adult Education at City College Plymouth.
Fantastic. And then who do we have in the middle?
Okay, I'm Val Doyle. I'm from Westcott's Chartered Accountants. I'm a training partner within the organisation.
Lovely. You're quite loud, Val, aren't you?
And I've done this radio stuff before.
Yeah, and karaoke as well, I can imagine.
Yes.
Yeah. And then who do we have sitting on the end there?
Hello, it's Nigel Fenn, and I'm chair of the Southwest Apprenticeship Ambassador Network, and I'm also the co-founder of my own small business, Neon Solution.
Fantastic. Now, you know a lot about skills. I hear you're pretty much the skills guru. So let's start with you, if we may. So there's been something called LSIP that's been going on in the region. Businesses may or may not know about that. So can you tell us, please, about that project in a nutshell and how it's working to help rewrite the skills agenda, to use the buzz phrase?
Yeah, so skills and the demand for skills naturally evolve over time. And I guess it's really important that the LSIP really reflects what the current and the future skills needs are for the region.
Now, LSIP, what does that stand for? It's not like what I've been having lately, which is LEMSIP.
Is it? No. That's to help you cold. This is the Local Skills Improvement Plan. Mm-hmm. So it's referred to as a plan. It lasts for a couple of years and then it gets refreshed again. And essentially, it's the process, and it just outlines the main sort of industries, the requirements, the skills, and just helps people understand and coordinate those.
Now, Lee, these kind of is it research or consultation exercises? They're really important because they help define what you deliver as an education organisation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly the work of the LSIP is crucial to what we do. We work closely with them as well as the wider community in Plymouth, the City Council, all of the civic groups, all of the charity groups. We work with them constantly to make sure that we're putting on the right courses, that we're providing the skills that people need, both now and in the future, and also that we're targeting the right types of students, because we don't just want to be looking at our 16-year-olds, we have to be looking at our adults as well. We have to be looking at people looking to retrain or to upskill, and encouraging businesses to upskill their existing staff as well.
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, if we don't do that, we're not going to meet the skills needs of the city. We're not going to achieve these huge goals that we have for skills in the region.
And we'll talk about that in a few moments, but from an educational establishment's point of view, to me it seems that you're chasing a moving target. You're never settled with regards to the curriculum or what you're learning or the special courses you bring on board, because it's always changing.
It's always changing, and in fact to the point where as soon as you have a course finished and developed and start delivering, you're rewriting it already. And when it comes to digital and AI, it's even faster than that. It's almost out of date while you're busy writing the content.
And we'll bring in Val from Westcott's, because you hire the best in talent when it comes to business advising, accountancy, and business planning.
Yeah.
Even that is an ever-changing landscape, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So this year we brought in 5 Level 7 apprentice accountancy students, and we brought in 3 level 3 apprentice accountancy
That's easy for
students.
you to say.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, and we test our students before they begin to a high standard. So we ask them to do psychometric tests and also numerical reasoning tests, just to make sure they've got the basic skill set to be able to take on the apprenticeship, because it's a hard qualification for them to do. So they need to be quite resilient, and they need to sort of have a good knowledge base of sort of maths and English before they begin.
And Lee, so apprenticeships are still a thing.
A huge thing, yeah. They are massive on our agenda. They're huge on the government's agenda. We have about 1,600 apprentices at the college. We're just welcoming in another 550 at the moment over the last month or so, and it's growing. We have huge growth plans for it. They're a fantastic way to upskill.
Fantastic. Now, Nigel, LSIP has been consulting with the business community for, is it like 2 years now? Maybe coming up to 3. What has it learned?
So I think it's learnt a lot about the region, and in particular the priority areas, the main sectors, and I guess it's also learning about that agility. So as we were just saying, the speed of change. I think we're all sort of taught that when you're at school, 40% of the jobs that you're told about won't exist in the future, and there's a number of those that will naturally change, and I think that's the key thing from the LSIP is what those changes are, how quickly and in which directions of travel.
And what happens, Lee, with that information that you're given?
That informs everything that we do in the college, from the courses that we put on, the pathways that we choose to create, which then obviously informs the facilities that we choose to invest in, the estate that we develop. And our staffing plans. So it underpins everything that we do.
And in terms of planning, when we say about we're in a fast-changing landscape, how do you ensure that you're modifying the outlook fast enough in order to keep up?
It's constant consultation with employers. So it's just, it's iteration all the time. It's doing a little bit, putting some courses on, speaking to employers, getting feedback, speaking to students, iterating as we go.
Yeah, I think one of the things that a lot of businesses, particularly in the creative sector, which Fresh Air Studios is part of, that we're quite scared, is the impact of, I'm going to mention it, AI, because that's changing the landscape so dramatically. Val, is that happening within your arena too?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest change that's likely to come in the next sort of generation, really, for us, AI, and we're very mindful of that. There is still a generation of clients that are sort of averse to it. As such, but no, absolutely. Within the next 10 years, I think our whole profession will be completely changed.
Which worries me, because I find it can't add up.
Well, it can't always add up, but I think you'll always need someone there to interpret it and give you a steer on it. I think you're still going to need the human element, and people by people all the time, and that's what we need really to concentrate on our next generation of our students, is really teaching those people and communication skills to be able to get their message across, where AI, it's just information, really. They can then help interpret that information and help people with their businesses.
It's interesting because, I mean, as a business, even though we're very small at the studios, we've kind of got an unofficial AI policy in that we use it in order to enhance and assist a current job, but not to replace someone's job, which I think is probably an ethical application, and certainly in our mindset as an industry that's been impacted quite heavily by it. Nigel, has any concerns about the deployment of AI come forward as part of the LSIP consultation?
So I think it's about embracing it, really. I guess there's naturally concerns. There's always concerns about sort of data, and I think it's about how best to embrace it in that sort of ethical manner, as you were just referring to.
So kind of like, because embracing to me is like taking it, doing that to it, hugging it. Whereas utilising it, perhaps it might be a better.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's about how do you want to utilise it in that most sort of ethical way, and naturally there will be people that will be concerned about the impacts on jobs, and as we know, this has always been the case, whether it's the advent of computers or the internet or whatever it might be. This is just that next natural evolution, really. And as we were saying, from a lot of the work that we're doing around supporting apprenticeships, it takes time to write an apprenticeship standard and develop those. And as we're saying, the pace of change needs to adapt to accommodate whether it's AI or just the changing landscape of the demands for the region. But in particular, we know that apprenticeships are available for anybody aged sort of 16 or over. and for some of them, they are brought up in this environment where these things are more natural, and and therefore for them it's going to be the norm rather than a change. So, whilst
Got a feeling you're calling us all old.
Well,
around this.
no, I think it's the opportunity that those younger people, those school leavers,
you're right,
college
you're right.
leavers actually have. That maybe they don't see as valuable. They see inexperience, whereas actually, if they look at it in terms of what's natural to them compared to what needs to be a bit more taught to other people, the next generation above them, I think they actually do have a lot of power at their fingertips, really, if they really understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. Lee, do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. But I think our important work at the moment is to get older people to embrace it, not just to focus on the 16-year-olds all the time, which I think we can be at risk of doing in education. Is just thinking about our young people and forgetting that there's a massive amount of 25 plus age people who need to
I
learn
find that
things.
so refreshing to hear. That's actually because I think people assume that colleges, City College Plymouth, because obviously that's the organisation that you represent, are just there for the youngsters to kind of bring them up through their early stages in life. That's clearly not the case.
It's not the case, and that's what my role is all about, really, in my Director of Adult Education role, is to get the focus onto adults. Because people are always surprised to hear we have just as many adults in the college as 16-year-olds, but businesses don't look to us and automatically think, I can go there for training or upskilling, and individuals don't think if you're sort of out of a job and you need to reskill at age 40 or 50, they don't automatically think, I'll go to college. It's seen as a place for 16-year-olds, and that's a perception we need to change.
Val?
But it's just interesting because they've changed the level 7 apprenticeship rules so that they're not available to over 22-year-olds except in limited circumstances, which is, I think, a bit short-sighted, and not to sort of invest in people who maybe have gone through their educational journey a little bit later, and perhaps family's got in the way or whatever's got in the way.
Now, for those of us who don't understand what that is, level 7, can you...
So a level 7 is kind of a higher degree level apprenticeship. So our chartered accountants go through on level 7 degree apprenticeship sort of qualification. So it's very much higher level and gets them access to much better jobs, sort of a much bigger career paths, if you like. So I myself did that. I started as an apprentice when I was 16 and then did AAT chartered accountant and became a partner in the business. So absolutely, it's a great career path, the apprenticeship.
So Lee, how would you answer that challenge about the apprentice landscape?
I agree. I think it is short-sighted to limit apprenticeships to an age band. Most apprenticeships are available to everyone. That's another myth that people don't really understand. They think it's for 16-year-olds, whereas our oldest apprentice last year was in his 50s. So they generally are open to everyone. But I do think it's short-sighted that the higher apprenticeships, some of them are limited in terms of age bands. We have so many people who could retrain, reskill. We have so much talent in the older age group that we shouldn't be overlooking.
Okay, so I'm a business, which I am, but let's just say, I'm thinking about somehow weaving an apprentice into how my business operates. Where do I start? Because it's kind of like I actually have no idea where to start. I personally literally have no idea, despite all the contacts. So, Nigel, what's step 1, would you say?
There's huge amounts of great material out there. You can start in a number of ways. You can start by doing your own research, looking online, just looking down some of the list of apprenticeship standards that are available. There's over 700 standards, and they're all categorised by industries. So you can go and sort of jump into the industry that you might be considering. There's more standards that are in development. There's obviously a huge amount of high quality training providers we've got in the region, so going and speaking with them about what they offer, because the standards might be available but they might not be delivered locally, and if that's what you're seeking, so it's just trying to get that balance right. Speaking with other employers that have gone through that same journey, who might be a little bit further ahead of you, and you can shortcut then in terms of your time and your process to success, really. But there's a lot of information out there, so I think networking and, like I say, doing a little bit of research would actually really benefit in helping with that understanding.
So, Lee, let's take that on board, what Nigel's just said, but let's compress it even more by saying, I'm a micro business, I'm really, really time poor. Can I come to City College Plymouth through some kind of communication channel and say, this is an area of business that I think we need an apprentice for in order to help us grow, but also further talent in the future. Can you help? Is that possible?
Absolutely, yeah. We have a team of training advisors who come out and work with businesses, who'll come and see you in your workplace and speak to you about all the standards that might fit your needs, who can guide you through choosing a standard. We can guide you through recruiting an apprentice, whether that's through our talent pool of college students or externally, and we can guide you through the whole process. And I would actually encourage businesses to do that, because that's how we do our research as well. So we can help you get your apprentices, but at the same time, that's what helps us to understand what the future needs are. When we start to see those trends in the standards people are asking for and the way things are going, we're developing 3 standards at the moment just based off that work.
That's a really good point, because if businesses were very quick to critique and very quick to challenge, say, oh, kids aren't coming, we haven't got the talent that we need nowadays, but that conversation kind of stays within, it's siloed, it stays within small groups of the business community, and it's never actually given to the educators who can fill in the gap.
We can fill in the gap.
Yeah.
When we start to see those patterns, we track all of the marketing information that comes in, the phone calls that come through reception, or the requests for training advice, and that's one of the things that helps us to decide what courses and apprenticeships to put on.
Now, Val, at Westcott's, you've already shared some examples of how you've utilised apprenticeships. Taking it from a small business owner's point of view, and your business advisors, have you advised on business growth and development through the utilisation of apprenticeships, and what kind of case studies and success stories have you seen?
So what within our clients actually taking on apprenticeships? Yeah, so we have done, yes, and we've had clients who've actually had their own accountancy apprentices, and we've helped advise them on learning providers we've used, and what's available out there in terms of what types of qualifications might suit different apprentices, and that's other, not just accountancy apprentices. There might be administration apprentices, or we were talking earlier. You can even become a GP and an apprenticeship. So I think there's so many different apprenticeships. I think sometimes you just need those conversations with business owners in terms of what their future plans are and their future resourcing requirements are for their team, and therefore, if you have those conversations, then you can suggest to them about apprenticeships, because they are a great way of developing your team, cost effectively, really.
Yeah, I found that. I had no idea you could be an apprentice GP. You literally practice running a practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that blew my mind when you told me just before we started. I had no idea about that, and that's the thing. We don't know, do we? Sometimes, and if we don't have those conversations.
Nigel.
Yeah, the apprenticeship landscape is constantly evolving, and obviously we've kind of alluded to that. But what that actually means is there's some really high quality apprenticeships that are out there. You can become a fully qualified accountant, solicitor, GP, pharmacist, architect. There's so many professions, and like I say, of those 700 that are listed, that's just a few of them. I think pilot is on there as well. So there's so many standards that you can become fully qualified on. And what it means is there's no student debt, you're getting paid while you're learning, but most importantly, you're getting that combination of that work experience and that qualification and all those business contacts. So it's invaluable. It's an invaluable mix, really.
So in a moment, I'm going to ask you for your top tip or takeaway. But before I do so, Lee, City College Plymouth, it's heavily involved in so many things, so many great things that happens around the city. It's it has a place on many boards that help develop the city and further it. It really does work with regards to community and business outreach. But it's always wanting to hear more from businesses, isn't it? That channel of communication is well and truly open.
Yes, absolutely. Everything we do depends on understanding what's going on in the world around us, in the city as well as the region, and we welcome every conversation. Sometimes it's small conversations, people just popping into the college for a coffee and a tour. Sometimes it's obviously us visiting businesses, and we also organise bigger events like business breakfasts with local SMEs, and obviously collaborating with all of our big employers. But it's crucial to what we do. It underpins everything.
Excellent. And of course, other educational establishments are available just to make it fair and print. We've got a really good community of places to learn in the region, haven't we?
We're really
and you all work
lucky
together
to
as well,
that.
don't you?
We do.
Yeah,
We're really
amazing.
lucky to have so much choice in this region of training providers. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, so I said I'd ask you for your top tip or takeaway. Let's put Nigel on the spot first of all. Come on, Nigel.
top tip or takeaway. In terms of what the skills, in terms
Whatever you
whatever.
like to, dear sir.
Well, I guess I would very much look to fly the flag for apprenticeships. I think really they're constantly evolving. They are a fantastic way to train or retrain people. There are so many people that have changed their careers and not looked back off, from undertaking an apprenticeship at any age. So, I think that's the bit. If you could spend half an hour looking at that and seeing what it could mean for your own personal career, I think that would be the top tip, really.
Really well said, really well said. Val, the challenge has now been set.
So, okay, I think just believing in the next generation, believing that the newest person in the door could be your future leader of your business, and just looking forward to, where your business is going. And it starts here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And with the end goal in sight.
So the future leader of your business could have walked through brilliant. That's like apprentice retirement plan.
Absolutely.
I like the idea.
I could retire maybe one day.
That's succession planning to the extreme.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Lee, the
Yeah,
final
I like
word to you.
My final word is that your local FE college is here. The doors are open for you, and whether you are a school leaver or you are, our oldest student last year was in his 80s, we've got something for you, and we are asking you to come and engage with us, and we can help you achieve your goals.
Brilliant. And you do good coffee. And you've got a great
do.
restaurant as well. So if
We've
you ask
got it all.
extra nicely, you might even get a seat at the CEO's table. You never know it in the PL1 restaurant. And Lee, Val, and Nigel, thank you very much for joining us, and we to kind of take the lid off apprenticeships here in conversation with Live from the Devon Business Show, which is happening right now at the Plymouth Life Centre.